Welcome. Enjoy watching.
Road without her.
The highway hissed as Brett coasted into Boise. Just a stopover. Just gas and a burger. But then she walked in. Tight denim. Wind-blown hair. A smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Rough day?" she asked, sliding onto the bar stool beside him. Jessica. That was her name. Said her ex ghosted her. Said she just needed a distraction. Brett bought her a drink. Then another. They laughed, flirted, touched. She asked nothing about his job, his past, his plans. Just leaned in close and said, "Let's not talk. Let's just forget everything tonight." They didn't even make it to her place, just the backseat of her old silver Dodge, fogged windows and impulsive heat. It felt real. Or maybe that's what made it so cruel. He woke up the next morning cuffed to a rusting pipe in her basement. "You've got the wrong guy," he croaked, blood dried on his lip. She didn't flinch. "I don't think so, Brett. You matched the bolo. Stolen rig. Highway heist. Ring a bell." He stared at her. Those soft eyes from last night had hardened like glass. "I'm a long-haul trucker." "That's it." Jessica tilted her head, studying him. There was something almost apologetic in her look. "Almost. I guess we'll see," she murmured and walked away. The metal door slammed. Alone now, Brett's mind raced, not just for escape, but for revenge. He'd been played. But the game wasn't over. Not yet. The cuffs were tighter than they looked. His wrists burned as he twisted against them, every click of the chain echoing in the dim basement. A single bulb swung above him, casting wild shadows. No camera. No mic. Just concrete, cold and quiet. He replayed everything. Her touch, her lies, that perfect setup. Jessica didn't flinch when he said he was innocent. Which meant, she already knew he was clean. She wanted someone to blame. Hours later, the door opened again. Jessica stepped in, now in full uniform. Gun holstered. Badge flashing. And behind her, Detective Langston, older, stiffer, less charmed by theatrics. "Still sticking to the innocent trucker story?" Langston asked. Brett narrowed his eyes. "What exactly am I being accused of?" Langston flipped open a file. Photos of an 18-wheeler torn open on the side of I-84. Cargo gone. Driver knocked out cold. Brett exhaled. "That's not my truck. Mine's parked 2 blocks from here. Keys still in the dash." Jessica flinched. Slight. But Brett saw it. Langston noticed too. "You ran his plates." Jessica hesitated. It matched, partially. And he fit the profile. "No," Brett snapped. "You needed me to fit." Langston looked between them. The silence sharpened. Jessica's voice cracked. "I made a call. Maybe the wrong one." But Brett wasn't done. His stare sliced through her. She hadn't just arrested the wrong man. She used him. And Brett. He was going to make sure she remembered what it felt like to be played. They let him go at midnight. No apology, no explanation. Just a bored desk sergeant handing over his wallet and a bruise, "You're free to go." Jessica never showed. Brett walked through Boise's quiet streets, blood humming in his ears. Every storefront reflection threw her face back at him. That smirk. That practice tilt off her head. She was too good at pretending, and he'd swallowed every word. By dawn, he was back at his rig. Everything untouched. GPS showed no movement. No calls, no messages, nothing. Clean. She never actually thought he was guilty. Just convenient. Brad pulled out his logbook. She'd asked about his route that night, feigning interest. Had she marked the stops? Used him to draw someone else out? He flipped to the last page. Scribbled notes in her handwriting. Asterisk Ellensburg, Boise. He stops outside mountain home for smokes. Cargo. She'd planted him. Bait for the real thief. And someone had bitten. Brad opened his glove compartment, pulled out the flash drive he always carried. His dashcam looped 24/7. On a hunch, he scrubbed through the night they met. There she was, parked 2 trucks down. Talking to someone. A man in a blue hoodie. Briefcase passed. Then she walked toward the diner, toward him. Brad stared at the screen. She wasn't hunting a thief. She was working with him. His breath caught. She set him up to clear her own tracks. And now he had proof. Let's see how she liked being watched. Brad didn't go to the cops. He went to the source. Through the truckers' network, forums, Discord, even a CB group out of Twin Falls, he asked about the man in the blue hoodie. Got one hit. Then another. Name, Carl Wrench. Known runner. Quiet. Efficient. Never leaves a trail. But now Brad had video. Time-stamped. Jessica, undercover, passing intel to Carl. The supposed thief she was tracking. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a cover-up. He followed Carl's trail east, logging long hours, pulling into rest stops with eyes half shut and adrenaline keeping him upright. 3 days later, he found the rig, an abandoned trailer at a scrapyard outside Pocatello. Inside, empty crates, packaging for high-end electronics, and a single fingerprint Brad lifted with tape. He didn't need the law. He needed leverage. He messaged Jessica from a burner phone. No threats. Just a photo, her and Carl, circled in red. A minute passed. Then 5. Then, where did you get that? Brad smiled. Meet me at the diner where we first met. Tonight. Come alone. He got there early. Sat at the same bar stool. The same flickering light overhead. And waited. She showed, leather jacket zipped to the neck, eyes darker than he remembered. You've made a mistake, she said, sliding in beside him. Not this time, he murmured. I'm not the bait anymore, Jessica. He passed her a flash drive. You've got 2 choices. Clear my name, or I bury yours. For the first time, she looked scared. Jessica didn't touch the flash drive. Just stared at it like it might burn her fingers. You think this scares me, she said, but her voice was thinner now. Quieter. Brad sipped his coffee, unfazed. No. But I think Carl might be more nervous. Especially if he finds out you kept the only copy. Jessica's jaw clenched. You don't know what you're messing with. Brad leaned in, low enough that only she could hear. I know you used me. I know you're dirty. And I know you're not nearly as in control as you pretend. She flinched. Not visibly, but her fingers twitched against the counter. Why not just go to internal affairs? She asked. Because you'd spin it. Frame me again. Make it disappear. This way, I control the story. She looked at him then. Really looked. And something cracked. Fine, she whispered. What do you want? Brett stood up, dropped a folded piece of paper on the counter. You're going to deliver this to your captain. Full statement. My name cleared. Charges dropped before they're even filed. Jessica opened it. Her own words. Typed, precise, damning. She looked up, eyes flashing. And if I don't? Brett walked to the door, paused. Smiled without warmth. Then the footage goes public. Along with your badge number. He left her sitting there, motionless. Outside, the wind kicked up dust across the lot. Brett didn't look back. He'd given her a choice. Now, she could live with it. 2 days passed. Silence. Then the call came. Block number. Brett answered without a word. Jessica's voice was flat. It's done. Your name's off the list. Your record's clean. You're nobody again. Perfect, Brett said. Just how I like it. She hesitated. You really would have exposed me? You really had to ask? He hung up. But he wasn't done. Brett uploaded a copy of the footage, Jessica and Kyle, the pass-off, the location, to a private link. No tracks. No message. Just an insurance policy, locked with a timer. In 30 days, if nothing happened, it would be sent to every outlet from Boise to DC. He didn't need revenge. He needed distance. Still, he couldn't shake it, the look in her eyes, that moment in the diner when she realized she'd lost control. Not fear. Not guilt. Just exhaustion. Jessica had played a long game. But somewhere along the line, she started losing. Maybe Carl got greedy. Maybe she did. Didn't matter now. Brett gunned the engine, rolled out of the city, and didn't stop until the buildings were gone. Just sky and endless road. He felt the weight lift. Slight. But real. At the next stop, he pulled into a dusty truck plaza. Scrawled a number on a paper scrap, walked over to a parked cruiser, and tucked it under the windshield wiper. It read, "Nice try. Better luck next time." Signed with the number of his rig. She'd know what it meant. He was gone. But he'd been watching, too. A week later, in a back alley outside Salt Lake, Brett spotted the blue hoodie again. Carl. Alone. Nervous. Chain smoking. Looking over his shoulder every few seconds. Brett stayed in the shadows, waiting. Timing. When Carl ducked into the side door of a storage unit, Brett moved. Quiet, efficient. By the time Carl turned around, Brett was already there, between him and the exit. Jesus, Carl stammered, reaching for something in his jacket. Brett pulled his own hands from his pockets, empty. Just a phone. Just a video paused on the screen. Jessica. The handoff. Carl froze. You've got the wrong idea, man. No, Brett said calmly. She's already fed you to the wolves. You just don't know it yet. Carl's mouth opened. Close. Brett stepped forward. She covered herself. You're expendable. He handed him a burner. One number programmed in. Call her. Tell her the game's over. Then disappear. Carl looked at the phone like it was wired to blow. I can't, he muttered. Brad leaned in. You will. Or I drop this to every Fed from here to Reno. That's your choice. Carl hesitated. Then nodded. Brad turned, stepped into daylight. He didn't look back. Back on the road, his phone buzzed. Unknown sender. One image, Jessica. Standing alone in front of her cruiser, no badge, no gun. Suspended. Below it, you win. Happy now? Brad stared at it. Then deleted the message. Some wins don't need answers. Just an ending.
Road without her.